The Alpha's Surprise Twin Heirs. Chapter 8. Talia stirred at dawn, the soft golden glow of early light drifting through the bedroom's sheer drapes. A faint breeze carried the lingering scents of pine and morning dew, reminding her that she and Aldric had only returned from their brief escape a day before. Her eyes fluttered open, her mind still hazy with images from the prophetic dream that had plagued her sleep. She felt the slight tremor of unease in her limbs as she recalled glimpses of her twin sons, older and full of potent, unfathomable strength. The memory left her heart pounding with both fierce pride and a flicker of apprehension. She turned her head on the pillow, finding Aldric beside her. He was watching her, concern etched across his handsome features, his dark hair in slight disarray against the pillow. He reached out, curling a gentle hand around hers. "You were stirring in your sleep," he said quietly. "Bad dream again." She exhaled, nodding. "Another vision, I think. It felt so real." She paused, swallowing down the knot in her throat. The twins were older. There were these two. She let her voice trail off, uncertain how to describe the presence of the she-wolves she had glimpsed. He drew her closer, letting her rest her cheek against his chest. His breath whispered against her hair. "It's all right. You can tell me. Whatever you saw, we'll face it together." She closed her eyes, letting the slow, steady beat of his heart calm her. "I'm not even sure how to explain it," she admitted softly. "It was just this moment of overwhelming power, something involving the twins and others. Powerful she-wolves, maybe, and I couldn't tell if it was a warning or a promise. Part of me was proud, but part of me was terrified." Aldric slid his hand up to tangle in her hair, a soothing gesture that made warmth spread in her chest. "They're still our boys, Talia. Destiny or not, we'll raise them with the love they need." He hesitated, taking a slow breath. "I think about that sometimes. What if I fail them, or you? What if all of this responsibility is too great?" He let out a low, wry laugh, though it trembled with vulnerability. "I've led this pack for years, but fatherhood is a different challenge altogether. And sometimes I wonder if I'm truly enough for you or for them." Her heart clenched at the raw emotion in his voice. Lifting her head, she brought her lips to his cheek, pressing a soft kiss there. "Aldric, you're more than enough," she whispered. "You've given me a home, this pack, your faith. I've never known devotion like yours. You never have to doubt that." She trailed her fingertips along his jaw, letting a gentle smile curve her lips. "If anything, I'm the one who wonders if I can keep up with you." He leaned in, resting his forehead against hers. The tender hush of the morning surrounded them, a comforting bubble that made even talk of fears seem surmountable. "You've kept up just fine," he murmured, brushing his mouth over hers. The kiss was soft at first, carrying the warmth of their mutual need for closeness. Then it deepened, and Talia felt the subtle rise of passion beneath her skin. When they finally parted, breath shallow, she let out a content laugh. "We should probably see to the twins," she murmured, though her voice trembled with the afterglow of that kiss. "They have a way of letting us know if we linger too long." Aldric hummed in agreement, pressing a final affectionate peck to her forehead before they rose. She changed into a simple dress while Aldric donned comfortable trousers and a loose shirt. Hand in hand, they moved into the corridor, where the sense of fresh-baked bread and warming milk hinted that the household was stirring to life. Charlotte greeted them at the nursery door, her arms folded with a mischievous grin. "Good morning, you two. Hope you rested well." She stepped aside to let them enter, her eyes dancing with amusement. "The twins have been busy." Talia raised an eyebrow, letting Aldric guide her into the nursery. Inside, Beth knelt on a thick quilt, both babies wriggling near her. Luca stood by the window, watching with what could only be described as quiet awe. The older twin squealed in delight at the sight of his parents, while the younger one babbled a string of sounds that didn't sound like any language Talia recognized. "Morning, Luna Aldric," Beth said, beckoning them over with a smile. "Watch this." As if on cue, the older twin tried to reach for a toy placed just beyond his grasp. Instead of crawling toward it, a brief shimmer of bright light flickered around his small body. He let out a soft cry, and Talia saw Luca's eyes widen. The toy slid a few inches closer as though drawn by an unseen force, then toppled over. Beth let out a shaky laugh. "He did something similar a minute ago, only it was with the other baby's rattle. I've never seen anything like it." Talia exchanged a stunned glance with Aldric. "Is that new?" Charlotte, kneeling beside Beth, nodded. "Definitely. They're showing one surprising trick after another." Aldric ran a hand over his face, then crouched beside the babies. The older twin cooed and reached up toward his father's chin, a faint sparkle lingering in his eyes. Talia felt a swirl of maternal protectiveness and wonder. "They keep revealing more of their gifts," she whispered, brushing her fingers lightly through the younger twin's fluffy hair. "At this rate, we won't know what to expect tomorrow." Aldric's expression was soft with awe. "They're extraordinary," he murmured. He met Talia's gaze, voice taking on a gentle seriousness. "And it's on us to ensure they grow into these abilities responsibly." Beth coughed lightly, a hint of humor in her eyes. "Well, we'll do what we can to keep them from accidentally pulling all their toys across the room." Talia laughed, the tension in her chest easing. "We'll manage it together," she said, offering Beth a grateful smile. "Thank you for looking after them this morning." The next half hour passed in a flurry of affectionate chaos. Charlotte and Beth helped feed the twins, while Luca rattled off a few updates to Talia about pack matters that needed her input. Talia listened absently, still replaying the image of her older son moving an object with that strange shimmer of power. Once the babies were content, Charlotte and Beth led them off for a short nap, leaving Talia and Aldric a brief moment of quiet in the hallway. She leaned against the stone wall, exhaling softly. "They're growing so fast. We can barely keep up." Her words held a note of awe, but also a tremor of unease. Aldric slipped an arm around her waist, pressing her to his side. "I know. We should talk about how to guide them properly. But for now, let's not lose sight of the present." He flashed her a wry smile. "There's plenty to handle in the next few hours, including final preparations for the feast tonight." She grimaced, recalling that a grand celebration was scheduled to strengthen alliances with various neighboring packs. The memory returned vividly. The plan to welcome multiple Alphas and Lunas, all eager to see how Talia fared in her new role. She raised a hand to her temple, feeling the weight of responsibility settle on her shoulders. "Right. The feast. I almost forgot with everything else happening." His eyes flicked with gentle amusement. "No need to worry. You've hosted gatherings before, Talia. This is just bigger." He brushed a light kiss on her cheek. "And I'll be by your side." That promise made her smile. "Thank you. Now shall we get started on final touches?" The day passed in a blur of activity. Talia oversaw the setting of tables in the estate's courtyard, ensuring each was adorned with fresh flowers and gleaming silverware. The pack's cooks prepared an array of dishes, from roasted meats to fruit-studded tarts that perfumed the air with sweetness. She walked among them, offering words of encouragement, occasionally picking up a linen to fold or adjusting a floral arrangement. Beth and Luca pitched in wherever needed, while Charlotte handled a final check on lodging for guests staying overnight. As evening approached, Talia took a moment to slip upstairs and ready herself. She donned a flowing gown of deep blue that set off her eyes, weaving her hair into a style that was elegant but not overly formal. She didn't want to appear unapproachable. Rather, she wished to embody the grace and warmth of a Luna who cared deeply for her pack. Beth, offering a final approving nod, opened the bedroom door just as Aldric stepped in. He paused, his gaze sweeping over her, admiration flaring in his eyes. "You look stunning," he murmured, crossing the threshold to gently catch her hand. She felt her cheeks warm at his open praise. "You flatter me," she teased softly. "But I'm glad if I at least look the part of Luna." He brought her hand to his lips, pressing a light kiss to her knuckles. "You do more than look it, Talia. You've become it." He guided her outside, voice dropping to a murmur. "You ready to show the visiting alphas what you're made of?" A flicker of nervous excitement raced through her, but she held her head high, letting the reassuring press of his arm at her back bolster her. "Let's go," she said, offering him a smile. They arrived in the courtyard, which now glowed under the lanterns strung overhead. The first wave of guests had already gathered, many standing near elegantly laid tables, conversing in hushed clusters. Talia recognized some from past alliances. Others were new faces, including a few betas and their respective lunas. She plastered on a gracious smile, stepping forward to greet them. A flurry of introductions followed, and Talia answered polite inquiries about pack welfare, about the birth of the twins, about her own wolf. Each question felt like a test, and with every diplomatic response, she felt her confidence climb. A few glances were cast around as though guests hoped to spot the heirs, but Talia calmly explained that the babies were resting under watchful care. This seemed to appease them. Some offered kind remarks or small gifts for the children, which Talia accepted with humble thanks. Charlotte appeared at her side, whispering that the main meal would be served shortly. Talia gave a small nod, then spotted Aldric across the courtyard, engaged in conversation with a dark-haired alpha from another region. She approached them, offering a polite greeting. Aldric promptly introduced her to the alpha, who gave a bow of respect. Talia responded with warm courtesy, silently relieved when she sensed no undercurrent of tension. She could do this. Still, as she circulated among the tables with Aldric, she noticed a fresh arrival standing near the center fountain. A tall, striking woman, with silver-streaked hair and an alluring smile. Talia's senses pricked with caution. She recognized her as the visiting Luna from a territory to the southeast, rumored to enjoy flirting with other alphas. The moment Talia and Aldric came near, the woman's eyes lit up. "Ah, Aldric," the woman exclaimed, stepping forward. Her voice was smooth as silk, posture exuding confidence. "A pleasure to see you again." "And you must be Talia," she added, turning with a slow smile that held a hint of challenge. She looked Talia up and down as if appraising her. "Luna Talia, I've heard so much about you." Talia forced a polite smile. "I'm glad you could come. We hope you find the feast enjoyable." She resisted the urge to bristle under the woman's lingering gaze. The woman inclined her head. "I'm sure I will." She shifted her attention back to Aldric, her expression a touch too bright. "You've outdone yourself hosting such an event. Your generosity is noted, Alpha." Aldric, his arm lightly on Talia's waist, offered a cordial nod. "I'm glad you're pleased." He cast a sidelong glance at Talia, as if subtly ensuring she was all right. Talia read the silent question in his eyes. She gave a tiny nod, reassuring him she could handle this. Yet the woman's gaze kept drifting toward Aldric in a way that stirred an odd clench in Talia's chest. She was used to pack members or allies admiring Aldric, but this flirtatious edge felt brazen, even rude. Maintaining her composure, Talia let out a soft breath. "We have more guests arriving, if you'll excuse us." Before she could guide Aldric away, the woman let out a melodious laugh. "Of course. I do look forward to speaking with you more, Aldric." She flashed him a slow smile, then turned to Talia with a slight curve of her lips. "And you as well, Luna." Talia gave a polite nod, stepping away with Aldric at her side. The moment they were out of earshot, Aldric whispered, "Sorry about that. I know she can be overt." She tried to brush it off with a small laugh, though the sting of jealousy lingered. "It's nothing," she said, but her voice trembled with an edge of uncertainty. "I'm just not used to seeing it quite so obviously." She hesitated, glancing at him. "I know you're mine, logically, but the sight of her looking at you like that, it got to me for a second." He pulled her aside near a pillar festooned with winding vines. Talia, he murmured, letting his hand slide around her waist. You have no reason to doubt how I feel about you. That kind of attention means nothing to me. He paused, meeting her gaze intently. I'm sorry if she made you uncomfortable. I'll be sure to keep my distance from her if it helps. She swallowed, her cheeks warming. I appreciate that. I promise I won't let it spoil the evening. She trailed off, leaning in to rest her head against his shoulder for a brief moment. Thank you for understanding. He gently stroked her hair. Always, Talia. Now come on, let's not leave our guests waiting. The feast began in earnest with long tables laden with platters of roasted meats, fresh breads, and rich stews. Talia and Aldric circulated among the guests, sampling the fare, making small talk, and offering short toasts. She noticed how many alphas and lunas approached her with genuine warmth, praising her role in forging new bonds among the packs. Each kind word bolstered her spirit, reminding her that despite the complexities of prophecy and the twins' gifts, she was making a difference. Later, when the main meal wound down and music began drifting through the courtyard, Talia realized she needed a moment's respite. She excused herself quietly, slipping toward a quieter corner framed by tall hedges and lantern-lit paths. Almost as soon as she caught her breath, Aldric appeared at her side, his gaze full of concern. She offered him a faint smile. I'm all right, just needed a little break from the crowd. He nodded. So did I. He paused, scanning the scene, then looked back at her, voice dropping to a softer register. About that other Luna. Is it still bothering you? A wave of conflicting emotions moved through her and she let out a quiet exhale. A little, but not because I question you. It's just, I've never been the type to deal well with blatant flirtation from someone else directed at you. She tried for a small laugh, failing to mask the flicker of tension. She seemed so sure of herself, so convinced she could sway you if she wanted. Aldric's eyes gleamed with a tender sincerity. She can't sway me, Talia. He reached out, sliding a hand down her cheek. You're the one I love, the one I chose. He leaned in, pressing his lips to her forehead. Let me prove it. She met his gaze, heart fluttering. The soft music and lantern glow provided a moment of privacy in the midst of the gathering. He guided her around the hedge, where the garden opened onto a secluded alcove with a small bench. Under the luminous moon, the fragrance of night-blooming flowers wrapped them in a haze of sweetness. Talia felt her pulse climb as Aldric drew her into his arms, the hush of the nighttime air intensifying every brush of his hand. He bent his head, murmuring, Talia, I want you to know that no matter who tries to catch my eye, my heart is locked on you. You gave me a reason to hope again, to be more than just an alpha carrying burdens alone. He let out a low sigh, voice thick with emotion. I never felt this way about anyone before you. She felt tears prick her eyes at the depth in his tone. And I've never known such safety and devotion. She touched his cheek, letting her thumb skim the faint stubble, then drew him down into a soft, lingering kiss. They sank onto the bench, lips still meeting in slow, fervent contact. Each quiet breath spoke of unwavering desire and unspoken vows that transcended words. Talia curled her arms around his neck, cherishing the warmth of his body, pressed close. She sensed the slight quake of longing in his breath, a perfect echo of her own. She parted first, searching his eyes. Thank you, she whispered, for making me feel sure, for chasing away any pangs of jealousy or doubt. He cupped her face in his hands, thumbs brushing gentle circles. Thank you for trusting me. I promise, no petty flirtation will ever threaten what we share. His expression turned heated, voice dropping. You are my Luna, in every sense. She sank against him, heart galloping at the quiet intensity in his gaze. The bond between them felt more tangible than the very air, an electric current that sent sparks of passion down her spine. For a few blissful moments, they rested there, exchanging tender kisses and hushed confessions of love, until the distant hum of voices reminded them they could not vanish from the feast indefinitely. Aldric pressed one final heated kiss to her lips, then stood, offering her a hand. "Shall we return, my Luna?" She smiled, letting him pull her upright. "Yes, let's. But I think that's the best part of tonight so far." He chuckled, winding an arm around her waist as they strolled back toward the lantern-lit courtyard. "Just wait until later," he teased in a low murmur, his breath warming her ear. Despite the massive turnout, the feast eventually wound down without further incidents. Talia sensed a tangible sense of celebration in the air. Even the flirtatious Luna seemed to have retreated, presumably aware she would have no effect on Aldric. Before Talia could fully unwind, however, Luca approached with a thoughtful expression. "Alpha Luna," he said quietly, glancing around to ensure no one overheard. "Our watchers at the borders reported a curious sight. A new Alpha arrived in the area this morning, traveling alone. He's apparently powerful and well-respected from a distant region. Word is that he might be heading our way." Aldric tensed slightly, exchanging a glance with Talia. "We're not expecting any more visitors tonight. Do we have a name?" Luca shook his head. "No name yet. But rumor says he's known for forging alliances quickly. A bit unpredictable, but charismatic. I thought you should know in case he arrives unannounced." Talia felt a flutter of curiosity. Another Alpha potentially seeking to meet them. She recalled the odd sense that their pack was drawing more and more attention as the twins' reputation spread. "Thank you, Luca. Please let us know if he shows up." Sure enough, mere hours later, word reached them that an Alpha by the name of Casmir had arrived at their borders, politely requesting an audience. Talia and Aldric exchanged resigned but intrigued looks, then arranged to receive him in the early morning, giving themselves time to rest after the feast. Under the moonlit sky, Talia decided to follow through with another plan, a short training session with Aldric. Despite the hour's lateness, she longed to stretch her limbs and refine her shifting. They slipped away from the last, lingering guests, finding the courtyard once more deserted. She changed out of her formal gown into comfortable clothes, while Aldric switched to loose pants and a sleeveless tunic that revealed the sculpted lines of his arms. In the quiet hush of the estate's training yard, lit by the silver glow of the moon, they faced each other. The night air was cool, a welcome contrast to the warmth of the festivities. He beckoned her forward with a mischievous grin. "Show me how steady your partial shift is now. Let's see if you can keep it longer than you managed before." She took a calming breath, letting her eyes drift shut. Summoning her wolf was easier these days, a slow, warm surge that crackled beneath her skin. When she opened her eyes, her senses were sharper, her reflexes primed. She grinned, feeling confidence bloom. "I've gotten better, you know." He spread his arms in a teasing challenge. "Then prove it, my Luna." She darted forward, footfall soft on the courtyard stones. He parried her initial feint with casual grace, but she pivoted, hooking a leg around his ankle. A moment of playful conflict followed. She managed to destabilize him, but he twisted free, pulling her against his chest as he spun them both around. They stumbled briefly, laughing under their breath. "You're faster now," he murmured approvingly, brushing a stray lock of hair from her face. "But can you endure?" She let out a breathless chuckle. "You're talking to the woman who just handled an entire feast. Endurance is my new middle name." He flashed her an encouraging smile, then launched another quick attack sequence, testing her reflexes. She dodged left, heart pounding at the intoxicating blend of physical closeness and adrenaline. He slipped behind her and she countered with an elbow that gently tapped his side. They both paused, grinning. "I'm impressed, Talia," he said, voice low, genuine pride shining in his gaze. "You've grown so much. When we first met, you were uncertain about your wolf. Now look at you." She felt a twinge of sentimental warmth. "You taught me," she said softly, stepping in so they were nearly chest to chest. "I never could have come this far alone." He lifted a hand, skimming it lightly down her back. "Teaching you is one of my greatest joys," he admitted. "Helping you find your strength. Seeing you become the Luna you were always meant to be. It changes me." He swallowed as though preparing to speak of something long buried. "You remind me of the hopes I had before my father died. Back when I was younger, I wanted to do more than just rule. I wanted to unite. But he never understood that." Her eyes darted across his face, reading the flicker of old pain. She set a palm on his cheek, letting her fingertips brush gently. "I'm sorry you had to bury those dreams for so long." He closed his eyes for a moment, leaning into her touch. "It's all right. You're helping me revive them, bit by bit." He drew in a breath, opening his eyes to meet hers. "That's why I'll never tire of training you, of seeing you shine, Talia, because you inspire me to be more than I thought possible." Overcome by emotion, she closed the distance, pressing her lips to his. The night air felt electric, the courtyard empty except for them, the moon overhead a silent witness to this surge of love. Their kisses deepened, slow and meaningful, until her pulse thundered in her ears. Even her partial shift felt like a gentle hum rather than a raging storm. With Aldric, it was easy to merge her human side and her wolf side without conflict. They pulled apart eventually, breath mingling in the stillness. She could sense his heartbeat racing, mirroring her own. She let her hand slide down his arm, stepping back to give them both space to breathe. "Thank you, Aldric," she murmured, "for believing in me, for everything." He caught her hand again, drawing it to his lips. "Always, Talia, always." They ended their session soon after, the combination of the feast and the training leaving her pleasantly exhausted. Slipping inside the estate, they heard a few staff cleaning up from the evening's event. They checked briefly on the twins, only to find them asleep, chubby cheeks rising and falling in soft slumber. Talia leaned over their cradles, her heart tight with adoration, recalling the flicker of force the older one had shown earlier. She whispered a silent vow to keep them safe no matter what. The following morning dawned bright and calm, though a faint tension whispered through the pack. Word spread quickly that an alpha named Casmir had arrived in the territory. Talia woke early to see Aldric preparing to meet this visitor. He stood in front of a mirror, smoothing his hair, and she joined him, tugging gently at the collar of his shirt. "Ready?" she asked, voice still low from sleep. "Ready as I'll ever be," he said, turning to face her. "Stay with me during the meeting. I want him to see that you and I act as one." She nodded, brushing her lips to his shoulder. "Of course. The twins will be with Charlotte and Beth for now. Let's see what this alpha wants." In the spacious receiving hall, a handful of elders had already assembled, curious about Casmir's intentions. Talia recognized some from the gatherings who had once doubted her but now watched her with respect. She took a breath, reminding herself of the confidence she had gained. She stood on Aldric's left, while Luca lingered near the entrance. When Casmir entered, Talia felt a subtle hush fall over the room. He was tall, lean, with a self-assured posture, dark brown hair brushed back from a striking face. His eyes held an easy charm, and he gave a small, respectful bow to Aldric and Talia. "Thank you for receiving me on short notice," he said, voice smooth. "I'm Casmir, Alpha of a distant territory. I've heard rumors of your growing alliances and the remarkable twins in your care." Talia stiffened slightly, exchanging a glance with Aldric. The mention of their children's uniqueness set her on edge, but she kept her expression serene. Aldric replied, "We've nothing to hide from allies." "What brings you here?" "Casmir." Casmir swept his gaze around the hall. "I have an interest in forging new bonds and saw potential here. I mean no intrusion, only the chance to see if we have common goals." He allowed a faint, charming smile. "Word travels fast about this pack's recent triumphs, including your Luna, Talia, who awakened her wolf later in life yet stands by your side with such grace." He inclined his head toward Talia. "A pleasure to meet you in person, Luna. You confirm the rumors of your poise." She offered a polite nod, reading no immediate hostility in his manner, just a quiet cunning that made her cautious. "Thank you for your compliments," she said. We welcome dialogue on alliances, but we keep the well-being of our pack first." He accepted her statement with a gracious nod. "Precisely my hope. I'd like to learn more about how you've united so many. Perhaps offer my territory's resources if we find it mutually beneficial." He folded his hands behind his back, glancing discreetly at the elders. Talia wondered if he was evaluating them as potential allies or rivals. Aldric gestured for him to continue speaking, and a civil exchange of words followed, peppered with subtle but carefully worded questions about the pack's structure and defense. Talia noticed the tension in Aldric's shoulders whenever Casmir steered the conversation toward the twins, as if he sought tidbits about their rumored power. She stepped in whenever the focus inched too close to her children, deftly redirecting to broader topics of collaboration or trade. At last, Aldric cut the meeting short, promising they would consider Casmir's proposals and arrange further talks if needed. Casmir bowed politely, smiling in Talia's direction, before stepping away with a final comment about the pack's friendly atmosphere. Once he was gone, Luca let out a small sigh. "He's smooth," Luca muttered. "Hard to gauge if he's genuine or if he has an angle." Talia touched Aldric's arm lightly. "I don't trust him yet. He's too keen on us and the twins for someone who supposedly just wants new alliances." Aldric nodded, rubbing a hand over his chin. "Let's keep an eye on him while he's here." He turned to the elders, who appeared uneasy. "Thank you for your presence. We'll handle this carefully. For now, let's give the Alpha standard hospitality. But remain watchful." The meeting adjourned, leaving Talia and Aldric alone with Luca. A subtle dread pooled in Talia's stomach, but she reminded herself they had faced more overt dangers before. The entire pack stood ready to defend their territory, and she trusted their vigilance. Later that afternoon, when Talia thought she might finally rest, the revered seer arrived once more. News of the children's new ability had likely reached him. He requested an audience in the same chamber as before. So Talia, Aldric, Charlotte, Luca, Beth, and a few elders gathered. The seer entered, bowing respectfully. "I sense changes again in the twins' aura," he said without preamble. "May I speak openly?" Aldric gestured for him to proceed, "Please." The seer regarded them all with a solemn gaze. The prophecy spoke of twin heirs who would surpass typical alpha strengths. Their abilities now begin to manifest. However, there is more. The seer's voice dropped, making Talia's pulse quicken. The same ancient texts mention that these sons will be bonded to twin she-wolves of equal might, forging unity among warring packs. Their union is said to heal the kingdom's greatest rifts. A hush fell. Talia's heart hammered, recalling the glimpses she'd seen in her dream. She cast a sidelong look at Aldric, seeing a mix of pride and worry in his eyes. The elders exchanged mutters of astonishment while Charlotte and Beth looked on with subdued awe. Luca cleared his throat, stepping forward. Then the rumors about them being key to a grand alliance or peace might be truer than we thought. The seer gave a slow nod. Indeed. They stand at the heart of a destiny that surpasses typical boundaries. But such power draws many eyes. Ambition and fear often breed dangerous enemies. He turned his gaze to Talia and Aldric. Your sons will need guidance and protection. And eventually they will need to find their fated she-wolves, wherever those may be. Talia inhaled sharply, pressing a hand to her chest. They're still babies, she whispered, voice trembling. It feels overwhelming to think about them being forced into a path they can't choose. Aldric reached out, lacing his fingers with hers. We'll do everything in our power to ensure they have the freedom to be children, even as we prepare them for what might come. He looked at the seer with a firm resolve. We won't let them be consumed by this prophecy. The seer offered a small bow. I believe you. Faith and love might tip the balance in their favor. His eyes flicked around the room. But remain watchful. Many will want to sway or eliminate them to shape the future. With that, he excused himself, leaving a ripple of quiet shock behind. Charlotte let out a soft exhale, glancing at Talia and Aldric. We knew it was big, but hearing it like that again, it's a lot. Beth crossed her arms gently. We'll stand by them, no matter what. All of us. Luca gave a curt nod. Count on it. Talia's eyes stung with unshed tears. She managed a shaky smile, grateful for their solidarity. Thank you. She paused, turning to Aldric, her voice dropping. We have one more reason to keep them safe now, but it also confirms the dream I had. She felt him squeeze her hand, a quiet reassurance that he would shoulder this burden with her. Any sense of relief was short-lived. Soon after the seer's departure, Charlotte burst in with the news that the younger twin had briefly vanished from the nursery. Talia's heart seized. She and Aldric rushed there, anxiety spiking. They found the older twin still in his cradle, but Charlotte and Luca were scrambling through the corridor, voices taut with worry. The baby was missing, only for minutes, but it felt like an eternity. A frantic search ensued, culminating near the edge of the estate's gardens. Talia spotted the younger twin lying contentedly on a patch of grass, gazing at a small cluster of forest creatures. A fox, a pair of rabbits, even a doe stood watchful, as if entranced. Aldric hurriedly approached, gently scooping the baby into his arms. He's all right, he whispered, breathless with relief. The animal scattered, slipping into the underbrush. Talia, chest heaving with a rush of adrenaline, knelt beside Aldric. She pressed a palm to the baby's cheek, voice trembling. Did he somehow wander on his own? This is impossible. He can barely crawl. Luca, panting from the run, exchanged a speechless glance with Charlotte. I found small footprints, faint but definitely leading here, as if he walked, though that should be impossible for a child his age. Talia felt goosebumps rise along her arms. She had known the twins were extraordinary, but this exceeded anything she imagined. She hugged the baby close, half scolding, half sobbing. You scared us. She saw the child blink with innocent wonder, letting out a happy babble that made her laugh in a teary burst of relief. Aldric closed his eyes, pressing a kiss to their son's brow. Whatever powers they have, we must make sure they don't wander off alone again. That evening, after the shock of the day subsided, Talia and Aldric arranged a quiet gathering of their closest friends. Charlotte, Luca, and Beth joined them in the estate's dining hall, along with the two babies, both dozing in cradles near the table. The atmosphere felt intimate, an echo of family that helped Talia unwind from the swirling events. They shared small plates of leftover feast delicacies, exchanging stories of the day. Luca recounted the frantic minutes searching for the younger twin, earning a playful ribbing from Charlotte about how pale he looked. Beth teased them in turn, remarking how none in the pack had quite expected to raise children who might outrun them before they even learned to speak properly. Talia laughed along with the good-natured banter. Her heart warmed by the knowledge that these people stood beside her unconditionally. Aldric placed a hand on Talia's shoulder when the conversation lulled. Are you all right? He asked softly, voice threaded with concern. She nodded, leaning into his side. A bit shaken, but yes, I'm okay. She looked around the table, taking in Charlotte's gentle grin, Luca's calm presence, Beth's kindly watchful eyes, and the dozing babies who barely seemed to realize how extraordinary they were. We have so much to be grateful for, and to prepare for. Beth, sipping from a small cup, nodded. The seer's message about those twin she-wolves. It might be a ways off, but the future seems so big now. Charlotte gently reached over to squeeze Talia's hand. You and Aldric have proven you can handle big, and none of us are going anywhere. Luca put down his fork, offering Talia a nod. You'll have the full support of the pack. Just say the word. She felt tears threaten again, a wave of gratitude surging up. Thank you, she said simply, for everything. She pressed a hand over her heart. I might keep repeating that, but I really mean it. Aldric's eyes shone with affection as he glanced around at the people who had become their family. He raised a glass in a small salute. Then let me say it too. Thank you. for standing with us, for loving our sons, for believing in Talia as Luna. The pack is stronger for your presence." They clinked their cups gently, the hush of the moment imbuing the hall with a sense of unity. Talia's gaze drifted to the sleeping babies, and she caught Aldric's eye, sharing a silent vow to do all they could to keep these little ones safe. The flicker of the candles cast soft shadows on the ancient stone walls, and Talia felt a settled calm in her chest, even with the uncertain future looming. As the conversation wound down, the group began drifting to their respective rooms. Talia and Aldric lingered behind, making sure the twins were settled for the night. She lifted the older twin, pressing a tender kiss to his downy head. "I still can't believe he tried to move a toy earlier," she said in a hushed tone, "and that the younger one just walked off." Aldric let out a quiet chuckle, though his eyes still held the day's tension. "We'll have to watch them day and night." He gently laid the younger twin into the cradle, adjusting a soft blanket over him. "This is just the beginning, Talia, and it's already amazing." He took a breath, turning to her. "But it's also scary. Who knows how quickly their powers will grow, or how many might come after them." She nodded, setting down the older twin, who remained sound asleep. "We can handle it." "We have each other," she said, placing a hand on Aldric's shoulder. "And our friends, the pack. We're not alone." He searched her face, lips curving into a solemn smile. "That's what keeps me strong." He glanced toward the door, ensuring it was closed, then pulled Talia into a gentle embrace. "You and I, building this family, shaping a future for them." She felt the brush of his breath near her ear. "When I think about all the dangers out there, I find peace in knowing we face it side by side." Her heart thudded in agreement, a soft glow of contentment stealing through her. She let him lead her from the nursery, their footsteps light in the corridor so as not to wake the rest of the household. Inside their bedchamber, a small fire crackled low, casting flickers of gold on the walls. She sank onto the edge of the bed, letting out a slow exhale. "It's been a long day," she murmured, thinking of the feast, Serena's flirtations, the surprising training session, the new Alpha's arrival, and the shocking display of the twins' abilities. Aldric knelt before her, sliding his hands gently along her thighs. "Indeed, but we made it through," he teased softly, voice thick with an undercurrent of admiration. "I'm proud of you, Talia, not just for how you handled the feast, but for everything. You're becoming such a powerful Luna, and you have no idea how that amazes me." Her cheeks warmed. "I have some idea," she said, a playful lilt creeping into her voice. "You did say you enjoy teaching me." She leaned forward, cupping his face between her palms, drawing him into a soft kiss that quickly deepened. The day's weight melted from her body, replaced by a slow burn of desire and love. They parted a fraction, breath mingling. Talia found her eyes stinging with emotion again, though this time it was the tender sort. "We're going to be all right," she whispered. "Even with all these threats and half-discovered powers, we have love. And that's what will carry us." He pressed his brow to hers, eyes fluttering shut. "Yes, my Luna, that love is everything." She felt a subtle shiver down her spine as he raised her hand to his lips, kissing each knuckle with reverent care. She smiled, letting him pull her fully into his arms on the bed, the flames' glow dancing across them. They lay there in a quiet hush, exchanging gentle touches and hushed whispers about the future, the children, and their shared dreams. The question of who might challenge them, of how soon the twins' next abilities might manifest, loomed unspoken, but they sealed away that anxiety with each soft press of lips, each unwavering promise of devotion. As the last embers of the fire turned to ash, Talia curled against Aldric's side, lulled by the reassuring thump of his heart. A part of her worried about the unknown Alpha named Casmir, and the seer's message of twin Shulves about How the baby had miraculously walked off that day about the real possibility of more threatening wolves lurking just beyond the horizon. But the stronger part of her believed in the unwavering bond she and Aldric had forged. A bond that wove through their friends, the pack, and especially the extraordinary children they now cherished above all else. Before sleep claimed her, Talia lifted her head to whisper, "Aldric, I love you, and no matter what tomorrow brings, I'll face it with you." He pressed a long, lingering kiss to her forehead. "And I love you, Talia. We'll protect our family, fulfill our roles, and stand strong for our sons. Always." She relaxed into his embrace, feeling his arms curve protectively around her waist. In the quiet hush, she drifted off, secure in the knowledge that even though the prophecy stretched out like a grand tapestry of destiny, they had each other. They had the pack, and they had the unbreakable courage forged by love. A gentle calm settled over her mind, promising that when dawn came, they would continue forward with the grace and unity that defined them, ready to meet whatever fate had in store.